Charles Reid is recognized as one of the most influential watercolor artists of the 20th century, known for reshaping how realism, expression, and technical discipline coexist within a single painting. Born in 1937 in Cambridge, New York, Reid's early years were marked by a strong inclination toward observation and craftsmanship. He studied for 2 years at the University of Vermont, and afterward, he continued his training for 2 years at the Art Students League in Manhattan. Although trained primarily in oil painting, drawing was not a major part of his early formal education. When he began painting with watercolors in the early 1970s, he practiced drawing for hours, understanding that drawing was even more essential in watercolor. This combination of early oil training and later disciplined drawing practice would eventually become the structural backbone of his seemingly effortless and spontaneous watercolor style. Unlike many watercolor artists who rely heavily on softness and delicacy, Reid approached the medium with the mindset of an oil painter or draftsman. Structure always preceded color. He believed that a successful painting must be built on accurate drawing, well-balanced composition, and intelligent value relationships. This principle remained constant throughout his career and became the defining feature of his teaching philosophy. Reid's artistic language matured during a period when watercolor was often marginalized as a secondary or decorative medium. Through his work, he demonstrated that watercolor could possess the same visual power, complexity, and emotional presence as oil painting. His portraits, figures, still lifes, and landscapes all exhibit a precise understanding of form, controlled distortion, and calculated looseness. Every brushstroke appears spontaneous, yet nothing is accidental. One of the most distinctive elements of Reid's work is his use of edges. He mastered the balance between hard and soft transitions, allowing forms to emerge through contrast rather than outline. This technique gave his paintings a sense of depth, atmosphere, and visual rhythm. Rather than defining everything with sharp detail, he allowed large areas to dissolve into suggestion, guiding the viewer's eye with intention. Color played an equally central role in his approach. Reid rejected the idea of local color as a fixed truth. Instead, he used color relationships to define planes, temperature shifts, and emotional weight. Warm and cool contrasts were carefully orchestrated to describe light and shadow without relying on excessive detail. His palette was bold, yet controlled, vivid but never chaotic. Portraiture occupied a significant place in his body of work. Reid's portraits avoid theatrical expressions or sentimental dramatization. Instead, they emphasize structural integrity, subtle psychological presence, and the physical reality of the human form. Faces in his paintings are not idealized. They are constructed through planes of light, shadow, and color temperature. The result is a sense of life captured through observation rather than symbolism. In figure painting, Reid applied the same principles. Clothing, posture, and gesture were treated as compositional tools rather than decorative elements. He consistently sought visual balance through asymmetry, using irregular spacing, cropped forms, and unexpected angles to create tension within the frame. These compositional decisions reveal his deep understanding of classical design combined with modern visual thinking. Still life painting was another field in which Reid demonstrated exceptional skill. Everyday objects, teapots, bottles, fruit, fabric, were transformed into complex arrangements of shape, value, and surface texture. Reflections, transparency, and overlapping forms were handled with remarkable economy. A few precisely placed brushstrokes could describe glass, metal, and cloth with convincing realism while preserving the fluid nature of watercolor. Reid was also an accomplished landscape painter. His outdoor scenes avoid romantic exaggeration. Instead, they focus on spatial structure, atmospheric compression, and the interaction between architecture, vegetation, and light. Urban scenes, harbors, and natural environments are constructed through strong value design and simplified geometry. Depth is created not through excessive detail, but through controlled transitions of tone and color. Beyond his personal artistic production, Reid's contribution to watercolor education is monumental. He authored several influential instructional books that remain widely used across the world. These books emphasize fundamentals over shortcuts, drawing accuracy, composition clarity, value control, and disciplined brushwork. Unlike step-by-step formulas, his teaching encourages analytical thinking and problem-solving. Reid conducted workshops internationally for decades, attracting students from diverse cultural and artistic backgrounds. His teaching style was direct, analytical, and uncompromising. He focused less on style imitation and more on developing a student's ability to see, interpret, and construct visual information. Many of today's leading watercolor artists trace their technical foundations directly to his instruction. What separates Charles Reid from many other watercolor masters is the synthesis of control and freedom within his work. His paintings never drift into chaos, yet they never become rigid. The viewer senses both the discipline of design and the energy of improvisation. This balance is the result of decades of practice, study, and refinement. He consistently emphasized that watercolor is not a passive medium. Unlike oil or acrylic, watercolor does not allow endless correction. This limitation, in Reid's view, was not a weakness, but a strength. It demanded clarity of intention and decisiveness of execution. Each stroke carried weight. Each decision was irreversible. This philosophy shaped the confidence and authority evident in his paintings. Reid's influence extended far beyond galleries and workshops. Reproductions of his work appeared in countless publications, educational programs, and art institutions. His visual language helped redefine how watercolor is perceived in contemporary fine art. He demonstrated that the medium could possess power without heaviness, complexity without confusion, and precision without stiffness. In the later years of his career, Reid's style became increasingly refined. His compositions grew quieter, more economical. Brushstrokes became fewer, but more decisive. The control of white space gained greater importance, allowing light to function as an integral compositional element rather than a background effect. This evolution reflects an artist who continued to deepen his understanding rather than repeat past successes. Charles Reid passed away in 2019, leaving behind an immense artistic and educational legacy. His influence remains visible in modern watercolor practice across continents. Artists continue to study his methods not merely to replicate his style, but to understand the structural logic that made his work enduring. Today, Reid is regarded not simply as a master painter, but as a builder of visual thinking. His work teaches that expression without structure fades quickly, while structure without expression becomes lifeless. In his paintings, the two coexist in a precise and lasting balance. Charles Reid's legacy endures because it is rooted in discipline, observation, and clarity. His art does not speak through exaggeration or mysticism, but through the honest organization of form, light, and color. In the history of watercolor, his name stands not only as a stylist, but as one of the medium's most rigorous architects.